False advertising. Advertising one thing, then providing another of lesser value. False advertising in real estate means that one thing is advertised and another is delivered. Bait and switch is a classic form of false advertising, where one thing is advertised to get the customer to, quote, bite, end quote, and then another lesser product or more expensive product is pushed on the customer. Remember, brokers and agents must include their license numbers on all advertising. Capitalization. Process of converting a stream of income to value. Capitalization is the process which takes a stream of income and, according to a specific method, accumulates it into a lump sum to represent a total value of the stream in present terms, called the present worth. A capitalization rate is used to represent the potential risk to the income stream over the capitalization period. Flipping real property. Buying distressed property, fixing and selling it for a profit. Quote, flipping, end quote, real property has become known as buying a run-down, parentheses, because of cosmetic reasons, end parentheses, or underpriced residential property, making repairs or upgrades, and selling the property for a profit. Cosmetic repairs may include painting, cleaning, carpeting, flooring, roofing, upgrading bathrooms and kitchen. Contractors are often well suited to flipping, as they may have seasoned crews and equipment ready to do repairs at cost. Redevelopment might include tearing a residence down to nothing and building a much larger and more valuable house in its place, but even this is often called flipping. Listing. Contract between seller and broker to find a buyer. When an owner wants to sell her property, she hires a broker to find a buyer, and this is a listing or listing agreement or listing contract. The broker has a fiduciary relationship to the seller and becomes the, quote, seller's agent, end quote. A buyer may come with a buyer's agent. An agent can only represent both seller and buyer if he discloses to both the inherent conflict of interest, called a dual agent. The listing is the agreement of the owner to hire the agent to work on his behalf as a special agent, parentheses, an agent for a specific purpose, end parentheses. Defined channel. Natural watercourse, flowing or dry. If you can see a river or the clear remnants of a river, then it is a defined channel. A defined channel is a natural watercourse, flowing or dry. Credit report. Record of person or company's past financial behavior. A credit report is a document or record of a person or company's past financial behavior. A credit report will contain all the money borrowed and therefore owed, and a history of how on-time payments were made. Important aspects of a credit report include the trustworthiness of the information on it and whether the information on it is for the person being considered. A credit report is a record of a person or company's past financial behavior. Drug lab illegal controlled substance disclosure. Seller must disclose knowledge of drug lab in sale. The illegal controlled substance disclosure is a part of every real property sale. If the seller has documentation that a prior drug lab existed on the property, or actual knowledge that a drug lab existed on the property, this has to be disclosed in the sale of that property. The reasons seem obvious. The presence of such activity may have contaminated the property, left various residual effects, not to mention the presence of such an element within a neighborhood that warrants the very real possibility of being a material fact. Remember, a material fact is something that, if known, would have made the buyer change his or her mind and not buy the property. Penalties for failure to disclose are $5,000 per violation. Knowledge of the presence or prior presence of a drug lab on a property must be disclosed in a sale of that property. Option: agreement to temporarily hold open a sale or lease. Say a buyer likes a property, but he is not sure it is the right one. So the buyer gives the seller $100 and she agrees not to sell the house for 7 days. The agreement made is an option agreement or an agreement for an option. The option is for the buyer to buy the property or not. He now has options, so to speak. If at the end of 7 days, the buyer has not exercised his option to buy, then his option expires. Either way, the seller keeps the $100. An option is an agreement to temporarily hold open a sale or lease. Simple interest. Interest which is computed on principal only. Simple interest is just that, interest on a principal balance. If the principal is $1,000, 5% simple interest is $50. 10% simple interest would be $100. Next, we might think about the term, which is the period over which interest is due or paid. On a principal balance of $1,000, 5% simple interest annually is $50 of interest per year. Interest rates are typically specified on an annual basis. If interest is 10%, that might be assumed an annual unless specified. 10% interest per month, for example. Simple interest is the rate times the balance. Instrument. Legal document. An instrument is a legal document like a will, deed, title, or contract. Simply speaking, these are all just pieces of paper. Document is another word for a piece of paper. A will or deed or title or contract are all legal because they follow culturally established rules. An instrument is another name for one of these pieces of paper used for these purposes.